All right, first ever fade to black, fade to bracket. Here we go, guys. We just learned how to use computers about 3 or 4 months into this. So Zach's excelled so far at 2 streams. So we got to catch up to him. All right, so here is the bracket called Some Kind of Bracket from Metallica, which we'll go through in depth.
I found out how they seeded it, by the way.
I wanted to know, how did they seed it?
It's Spotify plays multiplied by how many times they've played the song live.
Hey, question.
Yes.
I've looked over, I got the things in my notes here. I've looked over it several times, and I just thought about it because of what you just said. So My Friend in Misery is not on this list, right?
That's correct.
I don't think so.
I did a double take. I was like, really? That's not on here? But there's a couple I didn't even recognize by the name.
When this becomes wildly successful, we can go back and do a reprise doing all the songs that weren't on this list.
We could just do this on a stage live instead of playing.
Exactly. I have the official scorecard in my. There we go.
Oh, I made a spreadsheet.
Nice. I see it.
There it is.
There we go. All I see is crosses.
Notes.
Oh, I like this. Good. All right, so here's part 1.
Well,
I believe there's
crap. I just showed up.
I think there's how many matchups are there this first time?
I think it's 32. So
32,
16 on each
correct.
side, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, 32. Correct. All right, you guys ready? I'm ready.
Yeah.
So I divided it into part 1 and part 2. Part 1 being the left side of the bracket. Part 2 being the right side of the bracket. So, without any further ado, I am the table. Oh my! Thank you, James. Thanks for that.
So for Sandman versus Confusion, isn't that the video with the black metal band playing on the stage, or is that also Man Unkind?
I think that's also Man Unkind as well.
So the fact that I'm confused about which song Confusion is means I'm going to vote for Sandman.
I'm going to also vote for Sandman. I mean, this to me is a pretty easy pick. No offense to Confusion, but a lot of these matchups, I feel some of them are unfair, as we'll go through. Have you guys looked at the matchup so far, already? Yeah. This is an unfair matchup to me, but.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those.
So for me, there's also a part of Confusion that I like. It's called The End. So I'm going to go with Sandman as well.
Greg, do you want to go Confusion?
You want to take a guess what my answer was?
Confusion.
I mean, you guys pretty much just said anything I would have said. I mean, as far as I like the most recent album they put out compared to other more recent material, but that's not really one of the standout tracks for me.
Exactly.
I picked Sandman.
Agreed.
It is unanimous. How about that?
Jury spoken. All right.
So since we voted for Sandman, does that mean we have to play it anymore?
Let's see how far it gets.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know. St. Anger's on here, so.
I know. I should drink more.
Yeah. All right. Through the Never versus Motor Breath.
Someone else start.
Well, I'll start on this one. This one's actually pretty tough for me. They're both, and it goes back to what you were saying. It's kind of an unfair comparison because it's almost like two different versions of Metallica, playing where they come into the middle. For me personally, only because Through the Never has some musical dynamics that Motor Breath doesn't have, I'm going to go with Never. Just from a playing perspective, for me, it's more fun to play.
And I kind of agree with you on that one. Like that middle breakdown part on Through the Never, that's so powerful. And that's like an iconic Metallica thing, that breakdown there. I think that alone makes that song win for me.
this was one of the harder choices out of the other ones for me too. And I mean, I can't really knock anything off the first album, but I think one of the I chose Through the Never also, but the reason for that I think was because some of the songs on Kill 'Em All, they're good songs, but I could have gotten what they offer from other bands. And Through the Never to me is more of like, that's a Metallica song, whereas Motor Breath is more indicative of like another band from that era could have released a song like that, whereas they probably couldn't have released Through the Never when it was. So that was my choice also.
Well, unsurprisingly, I also had a hard time with this, but I'm going to give Motor Breath a pity vote. So our vote doesn't, our vote kind of reflects how difficult it was.
I like that. That's fair. So it looks like it's Through the Never. All right. Whiplash and Lepa Messiah.
Also a hard one, not the hardest one on the list for me. As is the case, honestly, I'm probably going to say that about anywhere you're choosing old songs. But I don't know what to really say about when we're getting to like Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning ones. It's any song that's on Master of Puppets is going to be kind of up against any other song. I'm probably going to pick the song from Master of Puppets, to be completely honest, and that's what I did here. My vote went to Leopard. Sorry.
I mean, I think what did it for me, so when I was originally putting this PowerPoint together, I was, picking in my head what I'd choose. And I'm actually going to switch my vote to Leopard Messiah because I'm just thinking about, once it kind of gets fast, once you hit the verse, chorus, verse, chorus, and you get to that bridge section, I mean, that's a pretty powerful, iconic part to me. So I'm going to do Leper.
As the bassist, I also need to vote for Leper because it has that bass part.
Yeah, so for me, it kind of like what Greg was saying before with the first album. Love the first album and a lot of the more original material, but just like also Greg said with Master of Puppets, everything on that album really just started to redefine not only that genre of music, but Metallica in general. And it's going to be really difficult to beat anything off that album. Leper, certainly has a lot of other really interesting dynamic parts. Like you said, Mark, that bridge is really powerful. So it's a hell of a lot of fun to play, and watching the crowd react to it is just awesome. So I'm going with Leper.
And and this is kind of rough about this matchup. I mean, if Whiplash went against Confusion, it probably would have gone on the next round. You know what I mean?
What if it went against Man Unkind, though?
I don't know for you.
That's the interesting thing about like these matchups, though. It's like songs that I don't really like that much can actually make it far based on the matchups.
Exactly.
That I really like don't make it very far at all, just because that's what happens when you got to pair things up. But yeah, so
there's going to be a couple tough ones I think coming up too that we'll get to. Okay, so it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm going to pick Blackened. Yeah, Zach's got the whiskey there.
Yeah.
Is that your vote?
So I'm going to go with God That Failed.
Yeah.
No, definitely Blackened. Definitely.
Of the two songs, which one gets you the most drunk?
Well, I have more time to get drunk playing God That Failed, so I'm going to go with that one.
I think you could play the God That Failed drunk. You couldn't play Blackened drunk. That would be very difficult.
Not to where anybody would like
it.
That's true.
All right. Well, contrary to my last vote, even though the God That Failed has the bass thing, I have to go with Blackened because it's fucking Blackened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, That's probably my top Metallica song for me, honestly. This and another one we'll get to, but Blackened is my number one.
You guys pretty much said anything I would have said as far as it's Blackened. I mean, yeah, this is one of the songs that would rank very high just on my favorite Metallica songs overall. And I mean, I will say The God That Failed is, of the songs on the Black album, that's like, if we were ranking them, it would be in the top half somewhere.
Agreed.
Never bothered to do it. So you know, it's like there's a lot of songs on the Black album that they're good, but Metallica done better songs, and you know, stacking it up against Blackened, which to me is one of those songs that kind of like, it's the opening rager, which is kind of already a big plus. Metallica's good at that anyway, and it has a lot of elements that's it's a good mix of just high energy and kind of more technical elements that they introduced later. It's kind of got everything. So Blackened.
Unanimous again.
Yep.
Seek and Destroy and Ate My Bitch. So I'm gonna actually go with Ain't My Bitch, because Seek and Destroy was one of the first songs I learned on guitar. Well, For Whom the Bell Tolls was the first one I learned all the way through. Seek and Destroy was early on. And I think I've just played it too many times. And it's great when we play it and the crowd's into it. But like, maybe it's just because I've heard it so many times that I kind of like, if I was given the choice to listen to these two songs, I'd probably choose Ain't My Bitch, because I haven't heard it 6 billion times. It's also the opening track on the first. So I got into Metallica in '93. I was 9. And the first new album was Load. And that was the opening track. So I'm going to go with Ain't My Bitch, believe it or not.
Yeah, so for me, let's see, Ain't My Bitch. Well, I disagree, so I'm going to go with Seek and Destroy.
I'm going to say Seek and Destroy as well, because I think about, for this choice, I'm kind of going with how it makes me feel when we're playing it and getting the feedback from the crowd, especially with singing back and like all the things that we do near the end with, when sometimes the chant works with the oh, I think that just to me makes that one win for me.
That's an unfair comparison, because you haven't tried the chant when we play Ain't My Bitch.
Exactly. This is true.
And what kind of chant would that be?
I don't know, because they'd all be at the bar.
We're gonna get the crowd to see if they can get as many syllables out of the word bitch as James Hetfield does.
Bitch.
I counted at least 3 there. Seek and Destroy. I do
figured.
see Tim's point, though. What?
I figured that's the way we'd go, but you know, I still had to try.
No, well, I see your point, though. I see your point, though. Fair, like, because I can remember when this album came out, and they played this song to death on the radio, though. Like, it's not like I haven't heard Seek and Destroy a million times also, but it's Ain't My Bitch is one of those songs maybe I'll hear like again once every 7 years.
So the song Seek and Destroy, was one of the first Metallica songs I got into. Unlike you, Tim, it unfortunately was in the 80s, so thank you, I'm old. But even past that, joining the military and serving a lot, this song is a motivator for a lot of units out there, especially the units I served with. We had this song playing, in fact, during one of our rapid deployments while we were en route to where we were going. So it holds a really sentimental place. Not necessarily all of the lyrics, but certainly the chorus. If you guys ever turn around while we're playing it, you'll often see my eyes closed and it's because I'm actually going through reflection moments while we're playing it. This probably also explains why I've broken quite a few cymbals playing it.
Are you saying that Ain't My Bitch doesn't pump you up for battle? Is that what you're saying?
Well, when I'm going to strip clubs, yes.
It's a good song for a bar fight.
And I will acknowledge,
Seek and Destroy is a better song for a war. That's the difference. Like, yeah, it's a war versus a bar fight.
I will acknowledge my decision process is wildly inconsistent. So I'm aware of this.
So it's just like my drumming skills. Awesome. Hey, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at?
Exactly. All
And
right.
Mark.
Exactly. Seek and Destroy wins. The Day That Never Comes versus Eye of the Beholder.
This was surprisingly tough for me because the video for The Day That Never Comes, I think, is powerful. But every single time I pick up a bass, I play Eye of the Beholder. It's one of the things that has become so ingrained. That's just what I do. I'm gonna go with Eye of the Beholder.
This one wasn't particularly hard for me. I think I like The Day That Never Comes. That's it's one of the songs. It's not a bad song, but it's maybe underdeveloped might be the word to put it. Like maybe it needed another draft or two. Then it kind of could have really been a jump out song. But Eye of the Beholder, that's a very, and it's. Do they ever play that live?
If they do, it's rare.
Very rarely.
Okay. I figured because it's I can know they used to do it on the Justice medley. It's good like mid-tempo fist pumping song, and it's that middle section also I think is really cool right before the solo. So there's that. It's so my vote went to I.
Zach, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm definitely, for me, it's, while I really like Day, Eye of the Beholder just has so many cool parts and so many cool transitions, even though a couple of them are repetitive. Just the hooks that they have in that, to me, is just amazing. I think it's frankly, one of the more underrated songs off of that album, even though it's widely popular. To me, it's just one of the coolest songs, especially off that album, but perhaps out of all the albums for me. I'm actually super excited for us to play it at some point. I think once I think it's just going to be amazing.
So for me, even though Justice is my favorite Metallica album, I'm going with Day That Never Comes. Just kind of remembering where I was in life when that album came out. Like this had been, I think it was 2008, right? So this had been, so Zach left. All right.
I'll be back.
I'm kidding. So this had been like 5 years after Saint Anger, you know what I mean? And hearing this on the radio on 98 Rock, I remember it when it was in September, I believe, when it came out. Just hearing this sound kind of come back really just resonated with me somehow. I know it's definitely it's a very long song, and yes, could use some production and stuff, and not anything against Eye of the Beholder, but I'm going to go with Day That Never Comes.
Unforgiven and Spit Out the Bones. I would like to go last.
Okay. I'll go first. This was kind of tough for me. So I'm going based solely on how I feel when playing it. I enjoy playing this song so much, Unforgiven. I love singing it. I love the solo in this song. Just from beginning to end, I think it's a fantastic song. I'm going to go Unforgiven.
This one, out of for the whole bracket, was really difficult for me because both songs hit really a touch point of mine when it comes to Metallica, and it's one of the reasons why I love this band. For a lot of the reasons you just said, Mark, with Unforgiven, but to add to it, it's extremely soulful. It's meaningful. The words behind it, you can sink yourself into it. You can zone out, not only listening but also playing. So for that reason, I could easily go with Unforgiven. But then on the other side, Spit Out the Bone to me was, from the last album, kind of Metallica's back. With the intensity behind the song, certainly the length of the song. So I really got torn in between. But as a person who has found myself more and more sinking into the meaning behind a lot of their material, not just lyrics, but the music itself, I'm going to go with Unforgiven as well.
This one was a hard one for me too.
I'm surprised, actually. I'm surprised it was difficult for everyone.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, anything that goes up against a Black Album song for me is automatically going to be a little bit of a head scratcher, just because that was my entryway into Metallica and really metal in general, because they played the hell out of like 6 music videos from that album constantly. So Unforgiven is going to have it's going to definitely have a place for me one way or another. But I don't know, I kind of thought the same thing that Zach said as far as Spit Out the Bone. That was definitely a Metallica's back song. And I mean, Hardwired was the first album I'd heard by them in a while where I was like, you know what, I'm okay with going out and buying this. And that was one of the top tracks. No, really. Like, I'm familiar with the other stuff, but it was just kind of like, I didn't have high hopes for the band, like, for 15 years before that. But Spit Out the Bone, it kind of really, it has the right energy and kind of trims the fat in a way that a lot of their newer material doesn't really. And it's got just various elements of their past kind of thrown into it in just very small ways. So my vote went to Spit Out the Bone.
So I, like the rest of you, I had a lot of problems deciding between the two. I thought about it in just about every way I could. You think I'd just go ahead and say, hey, there's a bass solo in Spit Out the Bone, so I got to do Spit Out the Bone. I don't like that bass solo. The videos. I thought about the videos. I think the Spit Out the Bone video is really fucking cool. It's got robots and lasers and gore and all the things I like in a music video. So just to make things difficult, I'm going to vote also for Spit Out the Bone.
Wow.
So we need a tiebreaker. So what do?
Drink.
Okay.
Did we figure out what we're going to do if we get a tie? Because that's probably going to happen again.
My suggestion was to ask T. So, and if we ask T, I think I know the way it's going to go. But,
yeah, not available at the moment. So can I vote via proxy?
Well, I would assume she'd vote for the Unforgiven. Am I right?
I think you're probably right, and if for no other reason, just familiarity.
Well, you can ask her later, but I'll temporarily put that in. How about that?
Okay. Hey, which song? She said Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Just
Nice.
do that.
All right, Unforgiven it is by tiebreaker.
All right. King Nothing and Frantic. So, like, I have a feeling I know which way this one's going to go. But I do want to say the best thing to come out of Frantic is James Hetfield's signature baritone guitar. That thing is beautiful. It's the, not the Vulture, it's the other one. Whatever it's called.
Bite.
Yes, the Snake Bite, and it's purple. and it's a baritone, and it's so I assume it has a longer scale, so it's more like a bass, which makes it better. And, but have to go with King Nothing, obviously.
So I'll go. I'm sure. Well, maybe I won't say I'm sure. I hope. I think. Hell, I'll even pray that at some point when they were writing that album, they had a good idea. And then Lars introduced his snare drum sound and destroyed every possible hope that I could ever enjoy anything off that album except for the credits.
I can't listen to it either. I have to listen to live versions if I want to objectively evaluate a song from that album. The album is unlistenable.
Yeah, I've been trying to find versions of it without drums, with all the other parts in it, and I've struggled to find good versions of it. So, I'm going with King Nothing.
I'll go last.
He just wants to say Nick.
I think we figured out what I'm going to go's last means. It means they're going to say what the rest they don't think anyone else is going to say. Okay, anyway. I'll rip the Band-Aid off first. I chose King Nothing. I don't really know. I can't say anything about Saint Anger that hasn't already been said. And I don't have any drastically different opinions about it than you're used to hearing. I know that I'll say Frantic it's a more listenable song on Saint Anger than other ones. But one thing though is that I think this matchup to me kind of underplays the quality of King Nothing as a song, at least as far as the load songs go. Because I think like King Nothing, this song stacked up against some songs other than Frantic, probably still would have won for me because it's not their greatest songs. They got older songs I like a lot better than it, but it's I don't know, kind of a darker element to it than I was used to hearing from Metallica. I know it sounds kind of weird to say, but they kind of, just with the new sound they had at the time, they kind of captured that in a way that the rest of the album didn't exactly to me. So, but yeah, so my vote went to King Nothing also.
So I really enjoy Frantic for personal reasons, and just thinking it was, the first track off of Saint Anger where James had just come out of rehab. We kind of find ourselves in that situation again. James now coming out of rehab, what's going to happen to the band? They came out with Saint Anger. Yes, of course it has its production issues. Yes, it sounds horrible. Yes, the drums stink. But I think as a song, that it's a pretty good song. I remember I almost missed my high school graduation because I drove to Circuit City to buy this album, and just those memories and stuff. Because remember, it came out like 5 days early because people were downloading it. Do you guys?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it just has a special place in my heart to me. I know it's not the best album, but I'm gonna pick Frantic. King Nothing wins.
King Nothing, 3-1. All right, One versus Metal Militia. One is the only reason I got into Metallica. It was the Beavis and Butthead episode. And, my brother and I watched Beavis and Butthead, and we saw that song, and he said, "You have to go buy this album." And I did. It was the first cassette I owned and the first CD I owned. And it wasn't until like last year that I bought it on vinyl. So I'm going to go with One.
I'm going to go with One too. I think it's a fantastic song. Love playing it. Love and Justice for All. Enough said for me.
So I'm definitely going to go with One. One was actually the very first music video I ever saw of anything. and I had listened to Metallica before. I didn't have their albums because I wasn't allowed to have them at the time. So I would sneak over to a friend's house who was, a big metalhead, Iron Maiden. That's how I, got into listening to that. But I didn't have cable, so MTV didn't even know what it was. And then that video came out, and it was like, holy shit. It was just amazing. So yeah, it hands down one.
Yeah, I figured as much.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, I like Metal Militia, but it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about Motor Breath. Like, it's a song that could have been, another band could have given me what Militia gives me, but no one else but Metallica could have given me one. So yeah, that's it. That's my vote.
Yep.
I love that. That's a great way to look at it.
One it is.
1-4. All right. So Until It Sleeps versus Hit the Lights. Zach.
Well, I'm definitely going to go with Hit the Lights. From a player perspective, trying to learn how to play a lot of the stuff that's on that album. Some of the techniques that were either he used or could be used to play some of that were teaching and learning opportunities for me. So Hit the Lights was one of those songs where once I figured out how to play it, I actually felt like I accomplished something. So I have a personal connection to that song. Plus, just the reaction it gets when you see it performed live, whether it's by us or actual Metallica, it's just phenomenal. So I'm going with that.
I'm gonna say Hit the Lights too. I like Until It Sleeps, but it's never been like a top song for me. Personally, I think it's a little slow. I think it's well written. I think it has great lyrics, but when compared to Hit the Lights, I got to pick Hit the Lights.
This one was actually surprisingly hard. I think Until It Sleeps, it's one of the songs, it's not held up well for me over the years, but I think I remember it was like the first single they released when Load came out, and they hadn't put out a new album in 5 years, and it was kind of like I remember there was a lot of hype surrounding them, coming back after that long, and this was the first song they released, and I was kind of like, I think I was excited that it was coming, and I might have just had this kind of energy about, okay, cool, Metallica's back. But it was this song. but I was still glad that Metallica was doing anything at all again. So, I was just happy for that. But that being said, Hit the Lights, that's it's got kind of this classic new wave of British heavy metal vibe. It's the first song on the first album, kind of just announcing, okay, we're here and ready to kick your ass. Hit the Lights.
Even though it's 3 votes for Hit the Lights, I'm still going to go with Until It Sleeps. Like you said, it was the first single they put out after the Black Album. It was the first, I made my parents take me to the Tower Records in Rockville to buy it the day it came out.
I bought it at Blockbuster Video.
Wow.
Wow.
There used to be
they had CDs there?
They had that CD.
All right.
But to be fair, we did listen to it when we got home, and I was like, what is this? This is Metallica, right? That's what it says, right? So it took a few tries, but it grew on me. I didn't love it immediately, but it was the first song, first new Metallica song for me. So I'm gonna go with Until It Sleeps.
All right, Hit the Light wins. Sanitarium versus Halo on Fire.
I'll start on that one. Sanitarium.
I love Halo on Fire, but you cannot compete with Sanitarium. In my opinion,
I will second that completely.
It's so much fun to play. It's amazing.
Oh, I agree completely. I love playing this song. Personally, I hate assuming that Sanitarium's going to win. I hate knocking out Halo on Fire this early. I think it deserves to go higher, but when you compare it to Sanitarium, it's not fair. So I agree, Sanitarium.
What that guy and what the other guy said, Sanitarium. And Halo on Fire, I do like the song, but I mean, Sanitarium it's a classic, mellow, heavy, dynamic album, A Master of Puppets. So, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, just comment on Halo. I really enjoyed the vocal arrangement in Halo. I thought how they put it together, the sustains and the notes were really, brilliant might be too big of a word, but I thought it was fantastic. But yeah, it cannot, will not ever be able to compete with the anthem of Sanitarium.
Yeah. Done. Unanimous, Sanitarium.
So Hardwired versus Holier Than Thou. For me, easily Holier. The song just is monstrous from start to finish, in my opinion, and for a lot of different unique reasons. But yeah, Hardwired is good, but to me, it just it doesn't top Holier. So
I agree with that completely. I love We're So Fucked, Shit Out of Luck, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, but Holier Than Thou is it's just better.
What did it for me was the jam with Holier and Thou after the verse, that that part sold the deal for me. So Holier and Thou.
Yeah, I guess it's unanimous then, because that's what I said. I actually thought this was kind of compared to some of these other matchups, this was one of the most fair ones, because there's songs that kind of have a similar tempo.
Agreed. Yeah.
And a similar pacing, which I thought was cool. Like, because some of these matchups, they can eat my butt. But like, I think the Holier Than Thou is one of the songs I like better on the Black album anyway. And I don't dislike Hardwired, but the middle section, the harmonies leading up to the solo, Hardwired doesn't have a part like that kind of
agreed
sticks out and give it a feel. And that's, if nothing else, that's what the deal breaker was for me to choose Holier Than Thou. So.
Holier Than Thou it is.
For Whom the Bell Tolls versus Hero of the Day. For Whom the Bell Tolls, the reason is obvious. So obvious, I'm not even going to elaborate.
So I'm easily going to go with Bells, even though I truly do love Hero of the Day. It's not a fair comparison for a ton of different reasons. But Bells, whether it's Metallica's live shows, their studio album, our shows, or other bands that are playing it, when you hear that bell and you hear that first monstrous dun, 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 and then it goes into Cliff's bass parts, there is nothing else that can match up to that.
Well, it's like when you hear that bell and then you find out that it's not Hell's Bells, then you're good to go.
Well, then there's that. There is that. There is that.
I used to have a playlist of songs that just had bells that opened like that. And I had some other like black metal bands on it. So there's just
there's an Emperor song, isn't there?
Yes, that was on it.
You gotta bring that on our next trip. Bring that for the next trip.
And then you just put it on shuffle, so you have to guess what's going to come up like 5 seconds after the song starts. Like, it's a good way to fuck with people. For Whom the Bell Tolls, I can't think of another song written by a peer of Metallica that's so simple yet so effective, because it really is like one of their most. It's got to be one of the simplest songs they've written, especially at that time. Hero of the Day, it's not really one of my favorite songs on the records, but it's as far as a radio rock song, just given what was being played at the time, it's better than a lot of that stuff. But
there's an E major in it. What's that about?
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, that was a weird. That was an interesting experiment for them, though, to see them create a song like that. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It didn't really stick the landing, though, I figured, though. So, yeah, I said Bells.
I say Bells, too. Love playing it. Love the crowd energy from this song. I love Hero of the Day. Love playing that one, too. But I don't think this is a fair comparison for me. So, Bells.
I love when we do it's the last time he will.
Yes.
I like when we all hit the downbeat at the same time. I am always amazed.
Yes.
And maybe that's because I'm used to drummers who would rush it. But Zach hits it exactly right every time.
I learned
I hit it exactly right every time. You know, it's magical, for lack of a better word.
Agreed.
Well, thank you, Tim, for that compliment, but I also have to thank you for helping me learn how to count to 4.
Okay. Saint Anger versus Disposable Heroes.
This is bad. This is bad. This was not fair. Like, I'm a little upset at this matchup. It's disposable, obviously, but it's like they were trying to knock out Saint Anger. Do you know what I'm saying?
They succeeded.
I think we all know that, yeah.
They looked at the matchup and they saw Saint Anger there and they said, you push it out. You push it out.
I mean, there is that cool part in the music video where Lars is like this. He's like, that's pretty cool. So
I like the idea of them filming that video at San Quentin. I just wonder if it's cruel to the prisoners to do such a thing.
It definitely incited a prison riot. That fucking snare drum.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So Saint Anger is definitely disposable. I say we get rid of it. Disposable it is. Lots of reasons.
Yeah. Disposable.
There's really not much else to say.
I feel dumb. Like, I can't even really hear Saint Anger in my head right now.
No, that's not dumb. That's a good thing.
I figured if it was going to win this, then I wouldn't be having that problem right now. So for that reason alone, it's obviously going to be disposable. But like, it's not like I haven't listened to the song, but I just don't remember it ever. And I mean, it's an unfair matchup. Disposable ranks very high as far as my favorite songs on Master of Puppets, even.
All right, Battery versus That Was Just Your Life. 2 album openers. One succeeded in its quest, and the other almost succeeded. So I'm have to go with Battery. There's some cool riffs, and That Was Just Your Life. But
I love That Was Just Your Life. I think of the 2008, 2009 touring cycle where they had the indoor stuff with the lasers and the ego box under James, where he'd walk around all the mics and it would light up. I thought that was awesome. Love the song, especially coming off of Saint Anger, and this was the opening track. But I'm also going to go with Battery as well. Battery is just an incredible song. Great opener to an amazing album. Battery.
I like This Is Just Your Life also, but I don't like as much as Battery. I can't be any more articulate than that.
I don't think you need to be.
I mean, Battery's like, it's not even like my favorite opener of a Metallica album, but it delivers what it's supposed to. So yeah, so it's Battery for sure.
Yeah, for me, when I saw this bracket and I saw this matchup, the first question that came to my head was Why? Why bother? For me, it's not even worthy of a competitive comparison. Battery is just one of those from start to finish. Your heart is jumping out of your chest, and it doesn't matter if it's the opening song of their show or closing or anywhere in between. It's just amazing. The only thing I wish they would honestly do is play the whole song and not just skip to the last lyric and chorus and then the outro. I think, they have their reasons for doing it. I'm not criticizing them for it, but I just really think it's a part that everyone would enjoy hearing. So I'm glad we play it.
Agreed. Unanimous decisions for Battery. Last song of part 1, Fight Fire with Fire versus Orion.
So if I could go first on this one, going back to what I was saying before, I get emotionally invested in the songs when I'm listening to them. And of course, there's no lyrics to this, so you really have to get entranced into the music. And learning this song, how to play it was an incredible journey for me. But then playing it as a band, and Tim, this goes to you. The tone you're able to recreate and create your method of playing, which is very similar to Cliff. I would say exactly to Cliff, but I don't want either of us to get hit by lightning. When we're playing this song, every time we've played it, even when I'm screwing up the parts, I'm usually screwing them up because I have completely zoned out of what we're doing. I'm listening to you guys play, and I swear on everything that I have forgotten often that I'm even playing. And that's usually when you hear me make a mistake, because I've caught myself stopping playing because I'm listening. I'm entranced in what you guys are doing. So out of every song that Metallica has, this is my favorite of every single one of them. And it's for that seated reason. So, Orion.
That middle part, is trickier than it seems. And it's, playing it's one thing, but listening to it is transformative, transcendent, something. It's amazing. You cannot beat that. That is the height of the songwriting, I think. You can't beat the middle of Orion. It's so good.
This one was very hard for me. This is probably one of the hardest ones I had to do, because Orion, it's got all the, I'm just thinking about what Zach said as far as just being in kind of a trance just while playing it. And I definitely can see where, that vibe comes in. And the middle part of it is just, it's untouchable. It's got those, it's got elements that's, I don't know, that middle part seems to me it was kind of a teaser into them becoming even more progressive by Injustice for All. It's got a feel on it that a lot of their other songs don't really have. So it's a fantastic song. Fight Fire with Fire is the most savage song they've ever done. And it might be my favorite album opener that, it's got to compete with Blackened, so maybe not. But I don't know. They never really made just a more primitive, lethal, just the sounding song, just as far as the way the verse kind of lyrics kind of mixed with the riffs, and just the it's just a balls out song. But so I didn't think this song was going to go particularly far, but I went with Fight Fire Fire. So.
All valid points, but Orion wins. That is the end of part 1.